All right, let's talk about Tillie Olsen's short story, I Stand Here Ironing. It's one of those stories that just gets under your skin. We're about to unpack 19 years of a daughter's life, but here's the twist. We see it all through the eyes of her mother, whose memory is triggered by a single phone call. So this is how it all begins. A call comes in from a teacher, or maybe a guidance counselor. They're concerned about her 19-year-old daughter, Emily. And that one simple, well-meaning sentence is what sends the mother's mind tumbling back through the years, searching for an answer.
But this is what she's thinking, right? Her immediate internal reaction. And it's not defensiveness. It's this deep, profound feeling of, well, helplessness. She knows there isn't one simple key that explains a person, especially a child who has lived so much of her life beyond her reach. This question right here, that's the heart of the entire story.
And so as she's just standing there doing this very ordinary domestic task, ironing, she starts sifting through this mountain of memories. That physical act, back and forth, becomes the rhythm for her thoughts.
You know, what makes this story so powerful is the way it's told. We are literally inside the mother's head. Her thoughts aren't neat and tidy. They're fragmented, they jump around, they're raw. It's a technique called stream of consciousness, and it drops us right into the middle of all her guilt, her love, and her confusion.
That iron becomes this incredible symbol, doesn't it? Every time she pushes it forward, it's like she's trying to smooth out the wrinkles of the past, trying to make sense of a life that's been anything but smooth for her daughter.
Okay, so let's get into those fragments of Emily's early life. Her mother starts digging up these painful memories, trying to figure out how did that beautiful little baby turn into the worried young woman she is today.
And it all started with so much hope. I mean, she describes Emily as a miracle, a beautiful baby full of life, just perfect. But that perfection, that joy, it didn't last. Hardship came crashing in, and it came fast, and that lovely baby was just gone. Transformed almost overnight.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It is relentless, all happening during the Great Depression. At only 8 months old, her father leaves. She gets left with a caretaker who saw her as a chore, not a miracle. By 2, she's in a nursery school that her mom knew, even then, was just an awful place. And then at 7, she's sick, and she gets sent away to a home for 8 long, lonely months.
And as if all that wasn't enough, she just didn't look the part. You have to remember, this was the era of Shirley Temple. Everyone wanted a little chubby, blonde, dimpled kid. And Emily, she was thin and dark. It was just another way the world was telling her, you don't belong. So this is really crucial. What was the internal price Emily paid for all this? Because she didn't act out, she didn't rebel. Her response was this quiet, almost troubling goodness.
This is such a devastating moment of clarity for the mother. Her other kids, they screamed, they threw tantrums, they made their needs known. But Emily, never. She was always the good one. And now, all these years later, her mom is looking back in horror, wondering what that quiet compliance actually cost her daughter's spirit.
And you can see that cost so clearly when you compare her to her younger sister, Susan. Susan was everything Emily wasn't, golden and quick and confident. Susan would tell jokes and soak up the applause, while Emily just watched from the sidelines, feeling what her mother calls a corroding resentment.
And that convalescent home, it was just emotionally barren. Imagine this. On visiting days, parents and kids could only shout at each other from a distance because there was this horrifying invisible wall to stop any physical contact, any affection.
And this is what Emily herself said about it, after her only friend there was moved away. They don't like you to love anybody here. It's just such a simple, heartbreaking summary of the coldness that was baked into her childhood.
But her story isn't all tragedy. There's a shift. Amidst all the pain and neglect, Emily discovers something that's uniquely hers, a talent that finally gives her an identity.
One day, her mom just sort of offhandedly suggests she try out for a school talent show. And later that night, Emily calls home crying with pure joy. For the very first time in her life, people are looking at her, they're clapping for her. She finally feels like she's somebody.
But here's what's so brilliant about this story. Even this moment of triumph isn't simple. Yeah, she was somebody now. But that talent, that difference, it also set her apart. It became its own kind of prison.
She wasn't anonymous anymore, but she was still totally alone.
So you have to wonder, right, after all of this, the poverty, the neglect, the isolation, and then this one bright spot of talent, what's her outlook on life? What does Emily actually believe about the world and her place in it?
Well, there's your answer. Her mother asks about her exams, and this is what she says, with this chilling lightness. It just reveals this deep, deep fatalism, a belief that in the end, nothing matters anyway, because of the atomic bomb. All those hard years, they definitely left their mark.
And that brings us to the very end of this reflection. As the mother finishes her ironing, she tries to add it all up, to find the sum of her daughter's life, and she just can't.
She realizes she can never explain Emily to that school official. I mean, how could you? It's not one thing, it's all of this. It's a life shaped by things way outside of her control. A distracted young mother just trying to survive, the crushing poverty, the constant fear of war. It was a world that just never seemed to have room for a girl like her.
And in the end, the mother stops trying to explain the past. She lets go of the guilt, and she shifts to this desperate, beautiful hope for the future. She can't change what happened, but she prays that someone, anyone, can help Emily understand that she is not defined by her scars, that she is more than just this piece of fabric on the ironing board, helpless, being pressed and shaped by outside forces, that she has a strength and a worth that is all her own.